Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is just going to be my reading wrap up for the month of December. I read 12 books in December, which is kind of lower. Well, not really. Normally I read around like 15 to 20, which is crazy, I know. But December is always a month where, I mean, it's just the holiday season. It gets really busy, so I don't read as much as I normally do, but 12 is still, that's still a fuck ton of books, okay? These are the books that I read. I'm getting over a cold, so just bear with me today. If I sound nasally or I sound even more southern, it's because I can barely breathe right now, so just bear with me. The first book that I read in December was Get a Life, Chloe Brown. This is the first book in the Brown Sisters series by Talia Hibbert. You guys probably remember I read Take a Hint, Dani Brown, a few months ago. I listened to the audiobook. This is the second book in the series. I don't know why I went out of order, it just ended up that way. Ended up reading this one on my Kindle because I had it through my library. I think this is my least favorite out of all three books in this interconnected series. This is just a really silly and fun and kind of spicy rom-com. The MMC in this book, he goes by Red. He was described as having long red hair, and I kept trying to look up a man, like a long-haired ginger man, because anytime I read a book, especially when it's a romance book, I go look up people on Pinterest with the descriptions that the author gives me so I can like get a visual, you know? And I kept looking up tall man, long red hair, and this is the fucking type of pictures that kept popping up. So I was like, that can't be, like this can't be what I'm picturing while I'm reading this book. And then I finally found a actual Get a Life Chloe Brown fan art, and this is what the characters look like, and I was like, ah! Listen, I love a ginger, and I love Redford Morgan. The thing I loved the most about this romance book was we had a chronic ill rep. Chloe Brown, the main character in the book, had a chronic illness, kind of an invisible chronic illness. I have a lot of friends who are chronically ill, especially have like invisible chronic illnesses where people all the time are like, you're not fucking sick, what are you talking about? So it was just nice to read about a character who goes through exactly what a lot of my friends go through. I think I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was Swift and Saddled. If you watched my 2023 reading wrap up, kind of the tier ranking video, I touched on this book a little bit in it. This is the second book in, what's the name of the series? A Rebel Blue Ranch. Jesus Christ. Rebel Blue Ranch. It's the second book in this series. It comes after Done and Dusted. It hasn't officially come out yet. I believe it comes out, I'll put the date here. I never apply for ARCs, ever. If I get an ARC, it's because an author is just like, let me give it to you. If you read it, you read it. If not, oh well. I went and applied for this ARC on NetGalley. The first ARC I've really ever applied for, and I didn't end up loving it. This book follows Ada and Weston. Ada is kind of the designer for the ranch, and Weston is Emmy's brother from the first book. Weston is kind of in charge of like the design process and everything that's going on. He brought in Ada to bring his vision to life. They, at the beginning of the book, have a little, not necessarily a one-night stand, but a little bit happens between them at the bar when they don't know who each other are. And then the next day, Ada's first day of work, working for Weston, she shows up and she's like, oh my god, no. I just fooled around a little bit with my new boss. That's kind of all you need to know about the book. That's what happens, and they kind of go back and forth, but I just felt like the book was like missing and kind of lacking something. It was on the short end, like Done and Dusted. I really loved that aspect of Done and Dusted, but I don't know, Swift and Saddled, it just felt like there was something missing the entire time. Definitely give it a shot if you liked Done and Dusted, because I might have just been a moody bitch and it might have just been right book, wrong time. I gave it 3 stars. The next book that I read, which took me weeks to get through, was Babble. I rated this book 5 stars. I ended up loving it. I was bouncing back and forth, if you guys remember. If you watched any of my Vlogmas videos, I was bouncing back and forth between the audiobook and the physical book because it's very dense and it's a lot. I mean, it's an arcane history, so sometimes while you're reading it, it's not necessarily heavy, it's just you feel like you're reading about history and it's not escapism. So when I felt like it was getting a little bit too much, I would just bounce back to the audiobook, and the narrator and the audio was incredible. Kept my attention the entire time. Absolutely love listening to their voice. And then I would bounce back to the book when I was like over the audio. Truly an arcane history, not escapism. Really freaking heartbreaking. The end of it was so fucking sad. I listened to the audio for the last 2 chapters and I was like laying in my bed just like staring at the wall. because I could believe how it ended up, like it made sense, and I was happy with the ending, but it was just heartbreaking. The Trist by Lauren Blakely. I think I gave this book like 3.25 stars. I was also reading this book in a vlog. This was that romance book where it was kind of a taboo romance. The MMC was her ex-boyfriend's dad, but she didn't know, okay? This wasn't like a revenge romance book or anything. Her and the dad hooked up at the beginning of the book. They didn't know who each other were. That's really all you need to know about this book. It was fun. There was some lingo in it that was a little bit cringy for me personally, but I was able to overlook it, and like overall I had a fun time reading it, and I didn't mind like the taboo-ness of it. It was kind of fun. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is a hit or a miss book, and I always like to tell people that because I can't shut the fuck up about it because I love it so much. It's truly my comfort book. But you either love this book or you really can't get into it and you kind of like fully DNF it. I can't tell you how many times people are like, Heather, I don't know how you liked it. I DNF'd it after like 3 chapters. It is what it is. You either love it or you hate it. Dark academia, fantasy. I just started reading the second one, Hellbent, or listening to the audio version of that one. The narration in the audio, like Babble, it's so good. 6 out of 5 star book for me. Next, I read Between Commitment and Betrayal and Between Love and Loathing. These books make me giggle because they're so fucking absurd. Between Commitment and Betrayal, I ended up rating this one 3.5 stars. I think the second half of this book will annoy people so much. So if you read it, just know you may hate the last half of it. You just have to go into both of these books with the mindset of we're gonna have fun. That's it. That's what we're here to do. We're here to have fun. The second half of Between Commitment and Betrayal was so chaotic. I was like, let's everybody calm down. Everybody, let's calm down. Okay, everybody freaking chill. The author was throwing things at you left and right to just, like, I guess a shock factor. I was kind of eating it up. Between Commitment and Betrayal is Marriage of Convenience. And you're reading the beginning of the book and you're like, Marriage of Convenience? How's that gonna happen? I'm just thinking about the scene in the beginning of the book. The MMC and the FMC, they're yelling at each other from page 1, basically. They're bickering from page 1. I love bickering. I eat it up. Between Love and Loathing is fake dating. I liked this one way better than the first one. Way better is a little bit of a stretch. I gave this one 4 stars. My favorite part about Between Love and Loathing was when Dominic went to Clara's apartment and saw all these pictures that she had, and he was like, why aren't you in any of the pictures? And she was like, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm always the person who takes pictures of people. Cut to the next few scenes. It's like from her POV, and she's like, Dominic took some pictures of me today, I guess, so I could like post them on my social media because they work together. No, because by the end of the book, he was hanging those pictures on his wall. Because no one took pictures of her. So he wanted to take pictures of her. And not in a creepy way. In a like cute and endearing way, okay? If you are the picture taker of the friend group, or you ever have been, I want nothing more than for you to have someone come into your life and be the picture taker for you, okay? You deserve it. You deserve a Dominic. I really thought I was gonna read so many holiday books this month. I was over it. I read majority of the holiday books in November, and then by the time December 1st hit, I was like, I can't do any more holiday books. The one of 2 holiday romances that I read was A Very Merry Bromance. This book was way more emotional than I thought it would be. The FMC in this book just had a really rich, awful family. And I say rich because that's important to the storyline. They didn't like that she kind of like went away from the family money and went to work in immigration law to help people. Like, they were so rude to her because she wanted to help people with her life. And I was pissed. I was chunking this book across the room when there was like certain interactions with her family, and I was like, she is quite literally saving lives and helping people. Bye. Colton, the MMC of this book, he's a country artist in like Tennessee. And honestly, knowing that information going into this book, I was like, this could be really cringy and bad, or this could be mediocre. He was way better than just mediocre, okay? He didn't really make me cringe. I thought there was gonna be some like weird singing scenes, you know what I mean? Where like we were gonna have like a little Alex Volkov, however you say his last name, have one of those situations. No, that's not the case. They had a one-night stand at the beginning of the book, and he was like pining after her for a year, and she like not necessarily ghosted him, but just was like no. And for a year until they met up again, he was like always thinking about her and like couldn't get her out of his head. And this book did nearly make me cry. So just a fun read. I think I gave this book 4 stars. Okay, I have 3 more books. I can't breathe. I'm gonna like push on my pressure points for a little bit. Like tip my head back. Oh my god, I hate being sick. Act Your Age, Eve Brown. This is the 3rd book in the Brown Sister series. Here are the other 2. I listened to the audiobook of this. Incredible. Absolutely loved it. The narrator, amazing. The MMC was so freaking adorable. He also was autistic, and I think Eve was actually a little bit autistic too. She was on the spectrum a little bit, so seeing that representation in here was really great. The book was based at Jacob's B&B that he owned, and Eve got a job there. She also hit him with her car at the beginning of the book, so really fun rom-com. I liked this one best out of all the books in the Brown Sister series. I think I gave this book 4.5 stars. Set the Record Straight by Hannah Bonham Young. This is a novella, and it's only like 160 pages. I really don't have much to say about this. I think it was a really cute holiday romance. There was no conflict in it, really no plot. It was just 160 pages of a fluffy sapphic romance, and it was just adorable. Hannah Bonham Young is the author that wrote Next to You, Next of Kin, and Out on a Limb, which I love all of those books. This is by far her spiciest book, which I was not expecting. The last book that I read in the month of December was Alive and Wells. If you like the Chestnut Spring series or you like cowboy romances, I really think you'll like this book. I ended up giving this book 3.75 stars. I had so many people in my DMs and on YouTube like commenting that I needed to read this book. Thank you guys. I don't know what I would do without y'all, because half of my recommendations nowadays I feel like are people like screaming at me, you need to read this book. Thank you. This was so fun, so fun. The MMC's love language was very much like acts of service, which is my favorite. He wasn't a cowboy, he was a rancher. He was in charge of everybody. Cecilia, from the beginning of the book, is running away from her abusive husband, and she ends up taking a job on his ranch, like working in the kitchen and like helping around. Guys, that's really all you need to know. Can I say this? This isn't necessarily a spoiler, this is an incentive, but like stop watching now if you like don't like incentives, okay? He also beats the shit out of her abusive like ex-husband. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I love cowboy romance. And those are all the books that I read in the month of December. January is gonna be full of rereading my favorite books because I am missing the comfort of some of my favorite authors. So I'll have a reading vlog coming for you guys soon, and I'll see you guys next week.